You give me life.
Yeah, on there. Yeah, he had a class going.
Oh, do we have anything?
I hold you tight, trying not to know. You are mine, I never let you go. And it's you I miss.
Yes. You can go in the other room. There's pizza in there. So if you want pizza. Okay.
Is that where we sign in?
Yes.
Over there?
That's where you sign in. Can you see it?
Yeah, that's a little blurry. So do I want to announce this or like stay? It's just boring when kids around. Yeah, it's not very bright either.
You speak to me.
Well, that's not true. I'm gonna go check it in my podcast.
Oh, okay, you don't want I just need It's funny.
Are these your songs?
Huh?
Are these your songs?
It's I don't know who it is. I just put some random person. I broke it.
That'll be like $600.
It's not saying that.
She's right there. No, it's
Stable.
We need an extension cord. I'll have it. Oh, you know what? It might be just adjusting the top and stuff. Someone go check it out. How to save your You're tallest.
like replace something that they like do to make you like, oh, they can't say like, oh, you can call like,
What's the camera?
I wasn't sure if you're being serious or not. I was like, Apple salad. Where did you get that inside there? They have to
Hello, everyone listener. Sorry to disturb your music, but we think you like what you're about to hear. At Domain.com, we're reinventing snacking, and we're glad for you to try one of our delicious snack boxes for free by clicking on the banner now. Choose from over 90 snack creations, such as our whole grain banana shortbread dippers with caramel sauce, or our delectable chili and honey almonds. Each box is easy picks and meals to your work or home. Click on the banner now to claim your first box for free.
Cynthia, can you take a US?
Like right here?
Look.
Yeah, in the middle of it?
Yeah, I guess it is.
Oh, yeah, right.
You want this color?
If you just, oh, these are all from Dylan. Yeah, dang. Too much. Promise.
All the surface areas dispersed. So there was less pressure on one particular.
Good luck. Good luck getting these done.
Ready to get started? I see me up there first on the agenda.
You gotta see my
Yeah.
meeting. I
I
gotta take a picture of that. You got the
Hello,
picture?
everybody next door.
As long as you see yourself on the camera.
Yeah.
Camera's right there.
Yeah.
How's it going? Like the
I have
music.
something to put on.
This is some studying music right here. Crank good tunes and about 3 hours of math. 4 hours for physics. All right, Dylan, I'm gonna just make some quick announcements so we can get going here.
Are you gonna talk about the volunteer?
Yeah, sure, I'll put that here. Can you write it on the board? Just, oh wait, we got no dry erase. No, there's one right there. So basically, they just gotta get an application to me today. Oh, you're talking about, yeah, the two different things.
I can talk about that one.
Yeah, I'll let you talk about it. I'll just be quick. Shut that music off so we can get it going. I'm gonna sing. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Thanks. It's great to see a nice turnout again. I just quickly, obviously, if you don't know me, I'm Dwayne. Hey, you get the best dressed of the day. Definitely. Let's do it. Dwayne, I run the MESA program, the Surge Grant, a lot of other things, a lot of upcoming things going on. JPL, there's a little bit of confusion. The sign-in sheet that went around doesn't mean you're signed up for the trip. Like all trips, in order to secure a spot, there's a stack of liability waivers that are blank right as you walk into MESA. You need to complete that and turn it in with your deposit. Then you'll have a spot. One van's full. We're down to one last van. So, or basically 10 spots left. So that's for JPL. We're full on the UC Davis trip. There's another chance to go to Davis beginning of November. It's a MESA STEM day. So that's coming up. You guys will get more info on that. Basically, I just want to also mention the SI and AEW sessions. You guys have all gotten your tests back. Maybe you didn't do as well on the first exam that you thought, or thought you were better prepared. Use your resources. Look next door to you, your peers in your classes. Get together, study together. MESA's open till 8 o'clock every night. Plan on staying here if this is the only place that you can get quality work done, or may not be MESA, it may be the library, or it may be a bench somewhere. But wherever you can work quietly and get your stuff done, get it done. So welcome. Have a good meeting. I'll be watching next door.
All right, thanks, Dwayne. So first thing on the agenda is the aggregation event. I know this is kind of late, but this is coming, or this will be tomorrow in Boston Farms. We'll need Dwayne's specifically asking for females to go because it is a Girl Scout event. Tomorrow it's from 4 to 8. If you are interested and would like to go, please see Dwayne immediately. There's a bunch of forms that you have to fill out before tomorrow. So if you want to volunteer in that, please go ahead and see Dwayne by the end of the day. Again, as Dwayne said, the JPL trip is coming up. Don't forget, or if you want to go, please turn in your forms immediately because we are trying to get a second driver, but it is not guaranteed as of yet. So spots are limited within this time. UC applications are open right now. Those of you who are planning to transfer, please get those in as quickly as you can so that your chances of getting in are higher. You have a question?
Is the tag a general application or is it per UC?
I believe you only can tag one school, I believe. You only can tag one school, and that is due at the end of this month.
And do you go to the UC admissions website or do you go to that school's website?
If you,
I think it's on the separate link.
Oh,
yeah, I remember posting. Are you getting my emails? On there it has the tag, where to sign up for the tag.
okay.
Again, if you guys don't know, tag is transfer admission guarantee. For those of you who are not who are transferring, you might want to look into tag. If you have all the requirements done, it is a guarantee for an admission into one UC, and it's only for a couple UCs. It's not for all of them. So look into that. Do you guys have any questions so far? We have when Mr. Redden, is Mr. Redden here?
Oh, that's me. Is it my turn?
Yes.
Real quick?
We have the programming thing that he's gonna come talk about. So, welcome, Mr. Redden.
Game programming, yes, we're gonna do some game programming. If you're interested, everything's gonna be free. I found a free book. We're gonna go through it. It's gonna be 5 nights in October, totally informal. So if you know a little bit about JavaScript and you're interested in game programming, we're gonna learn about sprites, collision detection, and we're actually gonna make a game, 1942. Remember that game? It's a shooter, it's a down scroller. It's a World War II airplane and you shoot stuff. We're actually gonna make that game, and at the end, we're gonna have something to send to our friends and show off. All right, so it's totally free and very much informal. If you want to sign up, space is limited. That'd be cool. So I have flyers. I have a flyer if you're interested. All right, any questions? Question?
You have to know JavaScript.
A little bit. Not too much. I mean, yeah, a little bit.
If you don't know any at all.
If you don't know any at all, come and see how far you get. You got to start somewhere, right? What if you don't know how to factor? You got to factor something. You got to start somewhere. We're not experts. We're just gonna. It's like a meetup, and we're gonna have fun, and we're gonna try to get through the book and try to make something.
What's the date and time?
All Octobers. Every Friday in October. 5 Fridays in October, 6 to 8 p.m. So don't say you have a class. If you look on the flyer, it says no homework. That's a draw, right? And it's totally free. We'll do everything in there. And it's sponsored by SETA and the Visalia GDG, the Google Developer Group. So we might have snacks. And again, it's just a meetup, very informal. And we'll go through the tutorials together. Any other questions? We also have an upcoming Surge, which we're going to use the Phaser game engine to do a Surge project.
You know when the next GDG thing is?
No, this is the next GDG thing.
For Fresno.
Game programming. Oh yeah, there's another GDG coming up October 17th. I'll put out an email. A big conference in Fresno and Google Technologies. It's actually kind of fun. It's an all-day event, and that's totally free too. Yeah, I should probably advertise that, huh? Thanks, Randall. Any other questions? All right, well, here's the flyer if you're interested. And again, space is kind of limited, so you got to email me if you're interested, and I'll put you on the list.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Redden. So if you want a flyer, just come after the meeting. They'll be up here. Another thing we'll be doing is, so we've decided for SETA this year that we will order hoodies, which we're still coming up with the design, we're still coming up with the colors and everything. But if you are interested in buying a hoodie, I'll pass around this list. This is just to see how many people is interested and if it will be feasible for us to do it. So if you're interested in selling a hoodie, it will be, or buying a hoodie, it will be $25. And I'll be, if you want one, I'll be passing on this list.
This is just to gauge interest?
Yes.
Right. So when we actually decide to do it, then there'll be a pre-order form that you'll pay ahead, because since these are more expensive, we gotta just do it person by person.
Okay. Right. Yep. And so for volunteer opportunities, we'd like to thank everyone who came out yesterday for volunteering their time to Club Rush and helping the SETA and any of the STEM clubs that were out there. So thank you for that. And also, I don't know if John's here. Is John here?
Which John?
John Preslick.
He's in the other room to talk to
Oh,
the
okay.
screen.
So basically, John had set up this volunteer opportunity down with Hurley Elementary. So if you went to that, we'd like you to thank you also. And we have another volunteering opportunity coming up that just came up today. It's today at 2:15 to 3:30. And I guess we're helping tour sixth graders, and we're showing them skeletons. That's what it says here. Meet in JM 115 if you are interested. That will be today at 2:15 to 3:30, and we'd like to have at least 4 people there.
They're students from Royal Oaks, 6th graders.
Yeah. sixth graders from Royal Oak. So if you want to come and show them around the campus, show them what STEM is, then that would be needed. There's John. Hi, John. So is there any other questions before we bring up the speaker? No? All right, then without further delay, we'd like to bring up Dr. Robert Urtecho.
Thank you. Everyone should have 2 sheets of paper. This one and the other one that Dr. O was passing. Is there anyone who doesn't have both sheets? Dr. O has one over here. One of them is an article that was published yesterday, and the day before it was published in the New York Times, and it's pertinent to today's topic, which deals with medicinal plants and modern medicine, which is something that's we're going to try to blend history with modernity, and it's not something that's probably often done, but it's one of the best subjects you can actually do it in, which is medicinal plants. Something all of you guys should know. Well, let's take a look at that article first. Let's just that single one. They've got it. So vulture capitalists prey on vulnerable patients. Take a quick look. See if you could. This guy right here. He's 32 years old. Look at the under his tape. He had a pill. It was actually about 10 years ago. They were selling it for $1 a pill. Then they sold the company and they were selling for $13.50, and people were really ticked off. Then this young buck over here bought the company and raised the cost of the pill to $750 a pill. It was required for people with HIV and required for people with various other ailments. It's happening all over the place. The kind of uncontrolled greed in the health industry, which is something, I don't know, does your generation think about it? It's something you probably should, because you guys are the future physicians. What if you want to heal somebody and you send them to the pharmacy and they come back to you and they say, I can't afford to pay for that medicine, so I'm going to go ahead and die, and if I die, I'm going to sue you. What are you going to say? This is kind of an odd situation to be under. That's the reality. This is today, and there's a lot of companies that are doing this thing. So welcome to my talk. Let's see, can you put that screen on? Just push that button here. I don't know, the one that says the computer. And you guys can't really do this. How do we fix this, Dr. O? That's probably as close as we're going to get. Medicinal plants and the uses. You guys actually have a handout that, and I can borrow this thing. This thing right here is a nice comprehensive list of all kinds of herbal medications, and then the equivalent of what you can actually buy at the pharmacy. So and I'll be referring to it on and off, but the first list is the name of the weed, of the herb, of the plant. Because I tell you, there's all kinds of stuff. When I go to the supermarket, I don't see food, I see medicine. Because a lot of that stuff you buy is not necessarily just something that gives you carbohydrates, protein, and fats. There's stuff in there that will heal you. And that's something that the sooner you learn it, the better off you're going to be. But the second one is the disease that it cures, and then the last one is usually what's in, what is the thing that you buy from the pharmacy. Just to give you some information, there's a very common one that says NSAIDs. Someone help us out with that one. Does anyone know what that one is?
Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs.
So it's a long word, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. That right there is aspirins and things like that. Non-steroid, of course, means it doesn't involve some of those very, very large molecules that control pain. There's a couple of other acronyms there that when you see ASA, it's the American Surgical Association. So surgery. NH, when you see that show up every once in a while, that's just a company that will provide you with the drug or with the herb if you want to buy it. And I tell you, I was just at an herbal store just 2 days ago, and I was looking at how much some things cost, and I looked at Gold Seal. So I just want to point that one out to you. I looked up Gold Seal, just kind of curious to see how much it costs. Price per pound, $249 a pound. $2.49. There's a market for this stuff. It's just amazing to me. So we're going to talk a little bit about the history of its use. And if you have any questions, by all means, stop me. And again, before I go, I'm not a professor here at COS. I'm the dean of the School of Science. And we know my office is at the end of the hallway. I am the one that signs off on all your late ad petitions and things like that. I am a botanist. I have a degree from UC Davis in plant biology. I am a botanist. I've gone to see all those jungles, go south of the US-Mexican border. I've been down there looking for new species. I like going into the jungles with a machete and finding cool stuff and getting bitten by all kinds of creatures. I can show you some scars. But I love going out there because it's really, really a lot of fun. Actually, I've been all over the place, all over the United States, collecting plants and talking to people who have similar roots to my own. I am Mayan Indian. My mother and my family, they speak Mayan. When I go down to the Yucatan Peninsula, where my family's from, they speak a language that is not even Spanish. It is pre-Columbian. It's a language that was pretty widespread before Columbus ever made it to the Americas. It's still alive. It's still strong. And you guys don't know this yet, but as soon as you cross the US-Mexican border, there are hundreds of languages that most people don't understand. And you know what these people know? And this is what I love. I go to the markets down in Mexico, and you go, and these ladies have blankets, and they put down hundreds of mushrooms. And they know every single name of those mushrooms, and they'll tell you what it will do for you. Because you know what these folks have? They have no access to medicine. So when you look at this list right here, it says something very interesting. If you can afford a U.S. physician, you know, more than 10% of U.S. people, Americans can't. If you can communicate well with that physician, if your physician has given you more than about 6 minutes of his time, it says HMO, Health Maintenance Organization. Sometimes the physicians come in, what do you got? Okay, I'll be right back. And the nurse comes back with the prescription. The guy's seen you for less than 5 minutes. Does he really know your disease, or does she really know your disease? In a health maintenance organization, they are timed. They have to go fast. Good luck even getting a physician. Sometimes when you go, you actually get a PA, a physician's assistant, or a nurse practitioner. Look at the next one over here. If they diagnose your disease right, they make mistakes. And there are things called comorbidities. You also can have, so for example, you may have metabolic syndrome. You're obese. You have diabetes that's beginning to kind of show up. Your blood pressure is a little bit high. All of that is one little group called metabolic syndrome. Sometimes the doctor will come in, oh, you've got high blood pressure. They will treat you with high blood pressure and disregard the rest. Isn't that funny? That's the problem. Communications. All of us here are responsible for our health. And that's why it's important to talk, to communicate, and understand some things like this. And look at the last one. If you're absolutely not deficient in anything, if you're kind of happy with all the conditions here, then you're ready for regular medication. However, if you're not rich, if you don't care how the doctors treat you, if you're pretty healthy except for one little disease, you probably can go to a regular doctor with no problem. You'll be perfectly fine. However, if you have complications, sometimes you have to take the responsibility of looking for some of your own, looking after your own health. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Any comments or questions before I move on? Yes, sir.
Who's your herbalist? Where do you go?
You go to Martha's Vineyard. That's where you go. I was in Massachusetts.
Okay.
But who's my herbalist? Me. I'm el curandero. Someone translate in Spanish. What is a curandero? A healer, like a healer. So like I'm a healer. I go out there. I'm still alive, guys. I was born in East LA and South Central. The fact that I'm still alive is I found a way to survive. Herbs are part of the picture. Yeah, that's it. The right herbs.
Yeah.
And of course, I started out with some good weed. That's literally what that means. Good weed is actually mint. Don't get all excited. That's how I learned botany. You guys think, what do you do in East LA and South Central? There are no plants in East LA and South Central. You guys are wrong. There are a ton of plants. All the old ladies have it, and they're all boiled in cans of El Pato sauce. I learned more botany in El Pato sauce than anything else. Every time they open up a can of menudo or something like that, they put a couple holes in the bottom and they stick a papaya in there or something, and they grow them. How did I become a botanist? It's not, a cholo from East LA should not be a botanist. What's my problem? My dad was a milkman, and I used to get up every day at 3 o'clock in the morning to go deliver milk. You guys don't even know what a milkman is. We used to deliver glass bottles of milk to everyone's front doorstep in South Central LA and East Los Angeles. I used to go there, deliver, and what did I have to put all my bottles next to? Things like this. And I'd ask the lady, what is that plant? It looks weird. I've never seen that before. They were growing things from all over the world. I had Chinatown route too. And the Chinese had some weird looking plants because you bump into them and they start to burn you. You go like this because you're on fire. And it's, well, what's going on? They got weird plants, and they go, oh, that's good medicine. You go like this. And I say, wow, that's good medicine. Okay, no, I'm not going to touch that one. You go, and I ask the ladies, what is that plant? Oh, it's una hierba para mujeres. They tell me all this thing. It's a plant for women. And look at it. Apparently, it was things that took the edge off of menopause. Did you guys know there's plants that do that? If you're achy after menstruation, there's a plant you can take and it takes the edge off of it. Yeah, I'm happy again. there's no problem. And you know what? It's growing in that garden. It's right there. It's right there in the COS Botanical Garden. And maybe if you're nice, I'll show you which one it is. But this is how I started getting my training. And earlier, I did want to be a physician, but I thought plants were a lot more fun. Can you advance it? So you guys will probably hear a little bit about these two names, Avicennia, Dioscorides. Very, very common names. These are the guys that wrote big books. This person was a Persian, and Dioscorides was Greek. They wrote big books in the Middle Ages, but they were all weird stuff. But you know what they wrote about? You got opium poppy. What is that good for? To get stoned. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get stoned, dude. You got morphine, codeine, all that stuff. They knew it 1,000 years ago. It was all there. If somebody felt really bad, he had a bad cough. Yeah, you need some opium poppies. All right, take it. You're stoned. You forget the cough. So these guys were very, very good. And the reason I'm very interested in these two is all of their texts were preserved in one place in Europe, Córdoba, España. Why is that? Because Spain was the first multicultural society in Europe. And what happened is when the Arabs invaded in 711, for 800 years, all Arabic medicine, all Arabic knowledge, all Greek knowledge, because in the Dark Ages, it was gone. All of it was translated from Arabic back into Latin, into Spanish, into French, into English, and it went from there. Central Spain, very interesting. Wonderful part of the history of all of these plants that you're looking at here. They were passed on over many generations. So let's look at an herbal medicine. Is that really a medicine? Who agrees? Who thinks that's a medicine? Only a few. You're right. It is a medicine. It's caffeine. Caffeine is an alkaloid. That's nasty stuff. What's very, very interesting, the best coffees you can get are the ones that aren't roasted very much. You know, the dark coffees, they have much less medicine. It's the ones that are very lightly roasted, because the coffee bean, the more you roast it and the darker you get it, the more evaporates off of it. It's full of a bunch of stuff. So the lighter one's better. Why do I find this one interesting? Because I need it sometimes. Anyone here asthmatic? Who has asthma? Friends, here's your treatment. This thing has theophylline and theobromine in it. Incidentally, chocolate has even more theobromine. You have an asthma attack? Reach for the Hershey's. Get that Hershey's bar and go, I feel better. You know what? Just eat it and savor it. If you live, you'll be in good shape. Actually, go for the nerd puff. Because I'm asthmatic. Yeah, you know what? If I can't find my inhaler, I'm gonna go get a good, deep, rich cup of coffee and throw some chocolate mexicano in there. The good, rich Mexican chocolate. If you don't have allergies to it, because some people puff up. You guys know if you ever drank coffee and you get puffy? Not a Mexican chocolate. Well, it wasn't the chocolate. Nobody's allergic to chocolate. It's the ground up cucarachas in there that give you allergies. If there's a bug in there, that can cause an anaphylactic reaction. But not the coffee's fine, the chocolate's fine. That is a drug. Incidentally, it comes from Ethiopia, Abyssinia. The Arabs had control of it for hundreds of years until a bunch of folks went out there and stole the plant. They stole it and started growing it in India. And once the Portuguese started to go across Africa to go collect, they were just getting herbs. Eventually, they were able to control a lot more coffee. Incidentally, it's very, very interesting how this all works. In 1788, 3,000 coffee houses in London. 3,000. What were these people doing? You think Starbucks is bad? Imagine that. Everywhere there was a coffee house. And you know what they linked it with? Philosophy. Everyone would sit around and say, what's the meaning of life, dude? Philosophers, who's that? 72 cups of coffee. Who did that? Voltaire. Voltaire, you think he's Mr. Rational. 72 cups of coffee, and yeah, he was a jerk. Can you imagine that? He's all wound up here. Shut up, David. He was brilliant, but he was a little bit punchy. Here's that thing I bet. This is chocolate. Would you guys eat that ugly fruit?
Maybe. Wow.
That looks. You have to crack it, put it on the ground like in a bucket, and let it rot. All this fluid comes out and it begins to ferment. And after about 24 hours, you pull out the nuts, you put them out separately, and you let it ferment again. A second fermentation. It rots. It stinks. Then you separate it out and clean it. Let it dry. You can grind it up. Beautiful chocolate. Who figured that out? Those guys, Olmecs. What country? Mexico, Central Mexico. They were way before the Aztecs, way before the Mayans. In fact, just a little bit before the Mayans, the Olmecs started to come in. They figured out this process. That phenylethylamine, that big word, related to nasty things like ecstasy. You can get relatives of ecstasy, that nasty drug, is in all kinds of this medicine. You know, when you put parsley on your food, you're a druggie. Because that thing has a lot of these medications that you don't want to take. But anyway, chocolate, that's a good example of one. Go ahead and advance that. Here's one that I think is kind of interesting. It's called nutmeg. Now, how do you guys use nutmeg? I mean, everyone uses it like for cooking. It's a nasty drug. It was prized in Europeans because the people used to put it on their food, but somebody came up with the idea that it was good for plague, when they're suffering from bubonic plague. So they would take it, and it rivaled the price of gold. So you want to see? You guys heard of the cartels, like the El Chapo and the Zetas, all these people down in Mexico? It was worse back then, because this was the drug they were after. They were killing each other. The Dutch wiped out all these British people out there, just killed entire boatloads of people in villages because they were horny, kind of going in on their nutmeg business. So these guys were rough. You know, around here they have like, what is it, the AK-47s back then? They had like 2 swords. They chop you up. But this is out here, Indonesia. Interesting thing, by the time the British and the Dutch were fighting it out, they said, okay, we need a détente. You Dutch, you can have this area. What are you going to give us? We'll go away, the British said. And the Dutch said, you can have Manhattan. And that's how that became part of the British Empire and eventually part of the United States. Thank you, the Dutch, because of drug wars. So a little known fact. So, okay, next slide. This very quickly, Why do plants produce all these chemicals? Very simply, it's to protect themselves against bugs that eat them. These are called secondary compounds. When you guys study biology, primary metabolism is making sugars, fats, things like that. These are important things for you to survive. But there's a bunch of compounds that the plants don't need. Why does a plant need caffeine? Why does a plant need some of these other chemicals in them? Well, they need them to protect them against things like this. And this creature right here is a monarch. It's eating part of a milkweed. It's resistant to it. It's resistant to the chemical, which is what they call a cyanogenic glycoside. Cyanogenic means it forms cyanide. These things produce cyanide. If you ate it, you would get cyanide in your body. You'd get weak and you'd bite the dust. Not these guys. They're full of it. They're full of cyanide. And then what happens when a bird comes in and starts to bite it? The bird gets sick. The bird starts to barf like crazy, and it'll never eat another striped caterpillar again because it learns never eat striped ones. They're bad. So it's very interesting. It's all the chemicals accumulate there. Here's what it looks like. Dr. Rodriguez, look. She's the biochemist, the organic chemist. All of these, notice that the basic shape of these molecules is consistent. You know, from this thing, which is fairly common in plants, look what you can make. Oh, LSD, how nice. Here's the stuff that got the witches all stoned in the Middle Ages. And the witches, they partied. And this is the big molecule that they did. Yeah, here's the psilocybin that you get from mushrooms. Yeah, it's all related. What's the connection? It fits perfectly well into our neurotransmitters. You guys know that we have chemicals in our brain. The shape of these molecules go right into the receptors, and you start feeling, oh, I feel good. And then, why do you feel good? I forgot all about my broken leg. You know, yeah. No, you're gonna forget because these things are very interesting. This is what's in nutmeg. See what it says myristicin? That's in nutmeg. Look at how similar it is to mescaline. These are, you know, the molecules are very, very similar, and they fit in perfectly well into the receptor, which tells me plants have molecules that can affect me physiologically. That means they can either make you worse or they can make you better. And that's what our talk is about today. I just want to show you that humans aren't the only ones that medicate themselves. They found out that monkeys, when they feel sick, they got a bellyache, they go looking for a particular plant in the jungle, and they find it, they get it, they eat it, and then they wait, and then about 10 minutes later, they go poop, and all these worms come out. You can go, you know, they're alive. You can do it too. You want to? Pumpkin seeds. You guys want to eat pumpkin seeds? I used to eat a lot of pumpkin seeds when I was a kid. You can eat pumpkin seeds. They deworm you. You can go to the bathroom. Oh, no, what's that stuff in there? They're looking at you in the toilet. Oh, all these little worms looking at you out there. That's gonna. Well, yeah. Can you get worms? Yep. You guys that like to walk around barefoot and romantic, you know, walking through the park barefoot. Oh, honey, I love you. But there's an itch on my foot. I have no idea what that is. Well, it's probably a worm. And in the tropics, it's very, very common. They dig in through your foot. They get into your bloodstream. They swim through your bloodstream. They get to your aorta. They drill out of it, go into your esophagus. They climb up your esophagus and then go down. They climb up your trachea and then go down into your esophagus and into your intestines. And then they're living in their little colony of amigos down there. And believe me, all of a sudden you eat a lot of food. I never gain weight. I don't know why. Oh yeah, if you want to lose weight, you can also take a worm, but I don't recommend it. You know, it's not very nice. Next slide. Here's one this is one of the best dewormers. So you can buy this over at Food for Less. So if you guys deworm your dog, see what happens. But don't give them too much, because what this thing does is that it also induces abortion. Because what it does is it starts to contract your intestines. And what happens is if there's any worms attached to it, they get loose. And then when your body does peristalsis, it knocks the worm out and you go to the bathroom. But if you are pregnant, the baby's going to follow the worms. So you have to be very, very careful with a lot of these things. This was very, very common in in the United States. You guys, does anyone know the color of the robe, the academic robe that a doctor uses, like when they graduate? You know how the PhDs all have different colors? A doctor has a green robe because almost all of them used to be plant people up until fairly recently, the 1900s, because pharmaceutical companies that did this to you started to control things. Okay, next slide. This is a very, very bad plant. Now, I used to make fun of this guy. He used to have glaucoma. You guys know that glaucoma is when you have a lot of pressure in your eye. If you smoke dope, the pressure goes away. Oh my God. But we used to accuse him of having guacamole in his eye. Never do that. He'll punch you. I said, don't you have guacamole in your eye? No. It increases appetite in cancer patients, and it reduces pressure. Now, all the other stuff, everything is really hunky-dory. Nah, not anymore. They've bred some nasty stuff into it. It's not the normal plant anymore. Now it just makes you numb. So it's a very different situation. Next slide. So here's I love it when I go into the, like when I walk around here and I look at all the weeds at COS. You look on the ground. That's all your grandma's medicine. And I walk around. Oh yeah, that one came from Europe. That one came from Asia. A whole bunch of them out there came from the old country. I just go ahead and keep on changing. Here's one, for example. This one right here is very common all over here in Tulare County. That one right there, when you grind up the seeds and you drink it, it's an expectorant. When you have a lot of chest congestion and you cough, a bunch of boogers come out. And after a lot of coughs, all of a sudden your lungs are clear. So it's a medication for asthma. So incidentally, if you go up to the Chinese medicine stores, they blend that into the stuff. Next slide. I don't recommend that. That's not a prostate exam. Get in line for an enema. In the Middle Ages, when people were constipated, they put something in there and that would clean out the mess. But they have, you know, the things that cause the muscles to contract. Some people were so deeply impacted. They had to go out there, throw something in there, and then the contractions would come out and dang, get out of the way. But their diet didn't lend itself well, especially if you were rich, because the rich people did not eat vegetables. Vegetables were for the poor folks. The rich folks ate cheese and meat. Not enough roughage. You're going to get plugged up. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, let's skip that one. I don't want to talk about witches. I talked about witches last time. This plant right here is creosote. It's probably the most common plant. They call it, you can see the Spanish name in parentheses. That one they use for all kinds for diabetes. Don't take it. Whatever it is, I'm telling you right now, that's a bad plant. There's other plants you can take, but where can I buy this? I can buy this at Food for Less. You can buy that there, and a lot of people take it. Not recommended. Okay. Next slide. Let's see what. So there's a lot of butts in my slides here. How does this work? Witches in the Middle Ages used to get fat, and they used to make a cauldron. You guys know what a cauldron is? Like a big pot. They'd melt all the animal fat in there, and then they would put these plants in the potato family in there. They're full of atropine, the belladonna compounds, nasty chemicals in it. They would then solidify it, and then they would wipe it on themselves with clothes and without, because people used to put it on the private parts, and all the chemicals would go into your body. The people didn't like to eat animal fat because you can't. The nasty chemicals are hydrophobic. You guys remember that term from chemistry? All the active chemicals are hydrophobic, so you can't make a tea out of it. You have to put it in animal fat. So they put it in their armpits, they put it in their groin area, and they would get stoned. Would these ladies be flying? Oh, they would be flying. So hold on to that stick because you're going to be in for a loop. She goes, ooh, they were stoned off of their gourds. These chemicals are very, very potent, but animal fat stinks. And that's why you have to put it as far away from your nose as possible. And yeah, it's they were self-medicated. That's why, well, how many, ready for this? 100,000 women were killed in Europe, mostly in Germany and England. 100,000. Compare that to the Spanish Inquisition, 4,000 people died. 100,000 people were killed in Germany and England and Netherlands and places like that because the ladies had no doctor, and they were looking for ways to self-medicate. So that's why you have to be careful. You might get hurt. Next slide. I'm running out of time, so this will be our last slide. All over the world, poor people are using self-medication. Whenever they have, like in this case, it looks like somebody has head lice. They know exactly what chemicals. You can go to the forest, mix it up, boil it, mix things up, do it shampoo, and those head lice are gone. And you don't have to go to a doctor. And in fact, when I was in South America, we went to the doctor. There was a lady who had a broken finger. I had pneumonia. Another person had another disorder, an infection of the ear. So we went to go see a doctor, and we got our medication, and we left out there. You know how much it cost us? About $1.25. That's all the doctor charged us, and he was so grateful that we paid cash. So let's look at this list over here, because I'm just about out of time here. Couple things I want to highlight. Let's look at the first on the first one. It says aloe. This is aloe vera, very common. How many of you guys have family that use aloe vera for stuff? A lot of people do. Don't take it internally. It produces cyanide. So you can take it externally. Don't take it internally. There are a few cultivars that do not have cyanide. You don't know which ones they are. Don't even bother with it. Use it for burns. Use it for sunburns. It's great. Works great. It has like a moco on it. It's kind of like a mucus substance, and it makes you feel good. Bilberry, a very, very interesting one. During World War II, they used to make bilberry jam. In England, they used to make the jam out of bilberry to put on toast, and they noticed something very interesting. When the RAF flyers were flying over Germany to bomb, if they had eaten bilberry jam, they could see all the places to drop bombs very clearly. They had very exceptional night vision when they had bilberry. They came back and look at all, well, except for diarrhea. All the other ones are pretty good things for looking at for improved vision. And obviously, if you have the runs, you'll be in better shape too. Skip capsicum. Look a little farther down. You see capsicum. That is chili. That's habanero. That is jalapeno. That is all capsicum. If you notice that they get these things and they put them, and people make gels here, they're counter irritants. You put it on your arm and it warms you up fast. When you're arthritic and you feel that warmth, you get a little bit more motion. You feel a lot better. And it knocks off some of the pain. You can eat the chili, but you'll be burning all over the place. When it goes in and when it comes out, you'll be on fire. Clove, if you guys ever gone to the dentist, he uses oil of clove to numb where they give you the shot. Like when you taste it, oh, that thing tastes funny. They're putting clove oil. That's a plant. They put it in there and then they inject you. And that's it. Let's see. A couple. All the rest you guys can read pretty well. Tea milk thistle. That one is very, very interesting. It grows all over Kauai Oaks Preserve. That plant will help you immensely if you have a bad liver. You can actually buy the pills, and what happens is if you have mushroom poisoning, if you have hepatitis or something like that, it'll help your liver immensely. It speeds up the rate at which healthy liver cells reproduce. So you have to actually do the function that you need. Let's turn the page over again. There's the one for women. They like evening primrose. There's a lot of stuff there that is very, very good for women. You can see there's a PMS down there, but several other areas. It has actually it has estrogens in it. Guys, don't take it. There are plants that have estrogens in them. Look at you guys look back here. This thing, I think an article toward the back, there's something on spearmint. Article title, Spearmint Reduces Body Hair. Probably pretty good for women, for men. I don't know, unless you don't like shaving. But if you want to reduce your body hair, there you go, mint. Interesting thing. I always have mint because if you look on second to last page, it says peppermint, colitis, diverticulitis, and irritable bowel syndrome. Any problem you have with your intestines, if you take peppermint, also known as yerba buena, which is just a mint that you make a tea out of it. Here's the secret: boil some water, go get a bunch of branches, clean them, take all the bugs out. Don't cook them with, because some people put in there's a snail in there. It's gonna taste gross. Boil the water first, put all the mint in there, and turn off the stove and let all the green come out. Let all the green come out. Cover it, let it sit for a while, come back and drink it. Oh my God, your stomach just calms down. In fact, you fall asleep. There's another mint there called lemon balm, and I tell you, that is one of the best ways. It's lemon balm. There it is. Herpes and insomnia. You take that, all of a sudden, oh, I feel sleepy. And it's also very, very good against viruses. Incredible stuff. And let's see, one last one. Hey, right down here, Yohimbe. Just to show you, there is a herbal Viagra, and that one comes from a tree in Africa. They take it, and Viagra. What it does is it releases a gas inside you. It's believe it or not, hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide gets released in the arteries out there in the penile artery. It releases it, and it increases blood flow, and you get the expected result. Nitroglycerin does the same thing. You guys heard of nitroglycerin for people that have bad hearts? If you take it, it releases a gas in the arteries of your heart, and it opens up the arteries. It's, again, very, very interesting medication. Okay, I've spoken enough. Who's got a question? Because we only got a few minutes left. Who's got anything? You have a comprehensive list of herbs here. Are you familiar with yerba mate? Yerba mate, very, very high in caffeine, and very good. What, do you take it?
Before I've taken it, but is it better than drinking coffee or not?
To South Americans, it is. The South Americans swear by it. They will not drink it. They won't drink coffee. They'll drink yerba mate.
What do you think is better? Is it better off?
I think I'd rather drink coffee because I think it has more theobromine, which I need. Theobromine is the chemical that opens up my lungs. And you guys around here, are our lungs jacked up? You've seen the air out here. Coffee is good. Yerba mate, incidentally, is sold over here in these Arabic stores that you see around here. In the vitamin shop, you can buy it at some of these Arabic stores because I guess in Saudi Arabia now it's a very common way to get a caffeine. And who's got another question?
What about oregano?
Oregano, it's in the mint family. So anything in the mint family, that kind of combination is exceptionally good for improving the flow of blood in your brain. It makes you think better. So I would. What a lot of people do is you get yerba buena, you mix some oregano in there, and then you put some rosemary. You make a little tea out of that thing, drink it, and you start thinking big thoughts. Yeah, they'll say, "Wow, I've got a new theory." Yeah, it's gonna keep you going. Go ahead.
Would you prefer these remedies other than pharmaceuticals?
If I can do this, I take it. I take it. For example, look at turmeric over here for arthritis. Turmeric also is for lymphoma. I just eat curry. You guys, anyone eat curry?
I want to.
Just make curry. What happens is you buy the little sauce, you make some chicken, you put some veggies in it, and all of that turmeric medication, which stops cancer, and it also is good for your flexibility of your joints. I get it in my foods. They call them nutraceuticals. The best way to keep yourself healthy is to eat a balanced diet. Stop eating bologna, ham, hot dogs, red meat, processed things with all kinds of antibiotics in it, and you'll live a long time. I don't know if that's a good thing though. I still don't know if it's a good thing. All of a sudden, I'm 98 years old. Look at me, my knees are still good. You know, I'm not sure I want to be that old dude. I think I want to bite the dust in my 80s. But if you do want to live till be at 98 and dance around, look at me, I'm a young buck. You want to be that person, definitely eat well. And if you balance your diet well, it'll have all of these in it, because these chemicals will keep you kind of nicely balanced. Who's got another question? Go ahead.
So, the epizote, also the lamb's quarter, they're really closely related. Do they have the same?
Lamb's quarter, you have to be very, very careful because it's high in oxalic acid, right. And if you're prone to kidney stones, you're going to be in big trouble. Kidney stones are horrible pain, and you get that from eating things like that quinoa that he was talking about. You have to be a little careful. Spinach has the same problem. Right. So if you guys have any kidney stones in your family, you have to have a very unique diet. You cannot eat all the plants. That's why it's very good to be informed. Yeah, I know you guys go, but I'm an engineer. I'm a mathematician. Why should I know this stuff? That's biologists that think about stuff. All you guys have to be kind of herbalists in this regard. It'll make you a lot happier, and your spouse will be very happy too. So you had a comment?
You could also, if you're curious, you can also look up Ayurvedic properties for spicing things as well.
Yeah. Okay, I am done. We get another question.
Yeah, what about hoja de laurel?
Hoja de laurel.
Bay leaves, I guess?
Bay leaves, that to my knowledge, there's nothing there except that eucalyptol. So what it does is that chemical helps stop coughing. Mm-hmm. But you have to breathe the vapors.
Oh, right.
You have to breathe the vapors for that. But you guys ever heard of a Nobel laureate? You ever heard of that term, Nobel laureate? It's the people that have laurel leaves around their head. Like the Greeks. Mm-hmm. That was the symbol for the prize. Put laurel leaves around you. So, anyway, thank you very much, everyone. Again, we're out of time. If you don't want these, I'll recycle them.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Urtecho. So real quick, for birthdays, we'd like to call back Dr. Urtecho. His birthday was actually yesterday. So greet him happy birthday if you haven't already. And if your name is also up there, that means you are a September birthday and you get to get cupcakes. So I guess just come up here. And mine is today. And thank you guys. So you guys can just come on up, and then we'll be doing raffles. Where's that? September birthdays, you guys can come on up first. And if your name is not listed on there, just feel free to come.
Here, you want to see me? You guys are going to be doctors. Let me just tell you, this is a physician's desk reference. Every doctor has this book. It tells you about what herbs you can and can't take. So the PDR is vital. You can't mix drugs, even herbs. You rather know what you're mixing. That's why you better be informed.
All right. Does everyone still have your raffles tickets? Are you ready?
The first three numbers?
Yeah, the last three numbers.
All right. Well, 416.
416. Or at least see.
436. 36. Okay. Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
There's a Halloween tie-dye.
Yeah, and there's that. That was good. All right.
Oh yeah, we have 416, Joanna. Just follow.
382.
382.
32.
All right. 432.
Say again?
You got it?
Liars. 432. No, it's not. It's
432. Oh, no,
that's.
the last number, guys. You got it? Yeah, last three numbers is 432.
Oh, never mind.
That's last three numbers. 406. 406. Oh yeah, 406. 446. 446. Four, 3-1. 431? Nope. 381. 381? 394. 394? All right. What is it? Oh, that wasn't it. So. That was it. All right. Thank you everyone for coming to the SETA meeting. BioForge is right now in this room, and the Science Club, formerly Math Club, is in 107.
Yes, I did.
Happy birthday, Billy.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bill. Happy birthday to you.
Everyone for coming. What? Oh.
Yeah.